And welcome to a brand new episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. My name is Bradshaw, also known as the Monster Truck Canucker, and it is a international episode. It is going to be an awesome time tonight, guys. We have the Big Pete and Grim Reaper guys over from England on the show tonight. Before I about change a different scenery, I'm sitting at my wife's computer. My computer crapped the bed last week. I'm hoping to buy some new parts this week to build a new computer. It is what it is. You know, I could cry about it. I get mad about it, but you know, I just got to keep pushing forward, and hopefully everybody's doing good. As you could look, it's still, you know, daytime here in Canada, starting to, you know, sun's going down. So we'll see how everything goes, but you know, it's going to be awesome, guys. It's going to be a fun time. I'm excited for this show. And, next week, we have on a recorded episode with Brad Shippert with Against the Grain. I believe they were in DuQuoin, Illinois this past weekend. Not too sure how the results went, but hopefully they went good. Hopefully it went smooth for those guys. A lot of stuff going on in the monster truck world. You know, check social media for everything. All-Star Monster Truck Tour is doing a lot of shows. Monster Jam. Cheech, I believe, is on the way to California, I believe, or coming back. I'm not too sure which. He'll let us know. But guys, we are going to get into the episode with the guys from the UK. Just want to give a huge thanks to J Concepts and Housing Coffee for supporting us since day one. Everybody else that supports us, it's always hard to remember everybody now. Cheech always has a list handy with him. So we're going to play the intro here, guys, and we will get into the interview. So stay tuned. Let's go to find. There we go. All right, stay tuned.
This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Bradshaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Crush This. Once again, thank you to Brad and everything he has done. I'm actually heading from California. We did a World Agricultural Expo with the Hotsy Monster Truck. So my scenery is a little bit different. I am currently inside my rig, taking my little bit of my break. So I'm I'm right now in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. And I have to stop for the night near Oklahoma City. So, and then I'm going to try to make it to get ready to go to Allentown here in the next few days for Monster Jam. So it's going to be exciting too. Once again, I just want to let everyone know June 22nd and 23rd, Pittsburgh Motor Speedway, the Monsters and Mega and Monsters race. Tickets are $25 for adults, $5 for kids. I don't really toot myself, but I'll be driving the Raminator truck for that event. Behind bars is a new truck, Crazy Train playing Crazy, Hooked, Stone Crusher, and myself. And it's going to be some fun times. The mega trucks are being announced here in the next, I think, few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. And also that same company is going to be releasing information about West Lebanon, New York. So we're excited also for that. But Yeah, Brad, we got some pretty cool cats here today. We got a lot of talk about talk about the stories of their trucks and all that stuff over there overseas, over the pond, and then also their experience at the Hall of Fame. So we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. The only other Pearson we've had to be on the show from England was Tony Dixon, sometime last year, and that was a great chat. And we were joking around before coming on the show. These, in a way, distant cousins in a way, because Canada and the UK and over there are very tight. We come, the king and the queen and all that stuff, and let's get into it. How's it going to you guys?
Hanging in there. For 1 o'clock in the morning, we're doing very well.
Pushing the late night oil, but let's we normally would start of how you guys started, but let's go and flip it around. Let's start you guys your experience here in America, and you guys went to the Hall of Fame. You did this whole whirlwind of a trip. I mean, you guys just did probably one page of it. There's so many other monster truck stuff that you guys could have took a look at. It would have been awesome. But let's start off, CJ. When did you guys talk about heading over to America, especially going to see the International Monster Truck Hall of Fame?
It was mainly Michael's idea. He watched it come up on his Facebook feed, all the people that had gone to the Hall of Fame, and he was like, right, that's bucket list. I want to go to the Hall of Fame. Michael has been going on holidays with a crew chief, a very good friend of ours, Andy. And when they started talking about it, I was like, I got to come with you. I'm not missing out on this opportunity because I'm just like a kid. I love monster trucks. I'm just stupid for them. So I was like, I'm coming. I'm going to leave the wife and child at home. Don't worry. I'll sort it out. I am coming. And then just to really get it sweetened over, I said, we asked Dad as well. So we brought Dad along as well, and he had a great time.
Yeah, we were pretty stoked about Father wanting to come over to the Hall of Fame, actually, because it was a big thing for us to take him over there, because it was him that got us into it. And he can be a little bit, how do I put this? He's built an empire out of nothing, and the only kind of guys that do that are the ones that don't take no for an answer. They're the kind of characters. So he could be a bit bullish and a bit of a character and a bit opinionated. And he was on really top form. He was very well behaved.
He was told by Mum, you don't have an opinion. When you go over there, just you remember you don't have an opinion. So yeah, we landed at the Hall of Fame. We landed in Chicago. We was briefly in downtown Chicago, about 1.5 miles from Wrigley Field. Now, me and Michael, our entire reference of Chicago is the Blues Brothers. So he went, why don't we go to Wrigley Field? There's loads of parking outside of Wrigley Field. We can go and have a walk around. So we set off driving and found the stadium. And obviously, 40 years since the film had been made, there was no parking anywhere. So we drove past it and went, well, that was Wrigley Field. And then we sort of drove through the city centre, past City Hall. We were just
having the suspended railway.
For us simple English people, we just loved it. Even though for most people in America, they're just like, well, that's just a town. So yeah, we was really excited, and then we headed off down to the Hall of Fame and met some amazing people.
And then we picked up a hitchhiker along the way, which made it even more awesome. And I've got to say, Mike Welsh, he came with us on our road trip after the Hall of Fame. First thing he did is he'd sort of been in touch with CJ and organised a few things, and they kept it as a surprise from me. So he paid for a sponsor table, which was lovely. And then after the Hall of Fame, he jumped in with us and he went on the road trip, and it was so much more than it ever could have been because of Mike Welsh, because he was with us. I would imagine that some of the people that we went to see would get begging letters and phone calls and emails from people saying, "Oh, I'm coming over and can I get to see you?" and all the rest of it. And they'd say, "Oh, I'll try my best." And they might give them a moment of their time. But the Mike Welsh element just meant we got a day with each of these people, which was amazing. But the Hall of Fame was, we could come on to the road trip, but the Hall of Fame was beyond expectations. I think I've been there for about an hour and I turned a corner because I honestly didn't know what to expect. You sort of go to sleep at night and think, I wonder if anybody will give a damn that we're there. I wonder if anybody will even know of us. And after about an hour, a few people have come over and gone, "Oh, you're the English guys. Oh, we heard you were coming," and all the rest of it. And then my tiny mind exploded because I found a picture of Big Pete on the wall in the Hall of Fame. And that was it. I was just in a puddle on the floor. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger from there. Everyone was so nice and so friendly and so helpful, and I can't say enough good things about
One of those situations when there's so many awesome people that we met that when you start listing them off, you're going to forget someone, and then you don't want to upset them, so you almost don't want to speak of who you've met. But we'd met Mark Bendler, who, if you don't know, he built basically Big Pete, his Kodiak. So to spend some time with him, and then he went and did the auction, and he bought he bought the picture of Big Pete, and we were choked. Got the chance to meet Bob Chandler, the father of this industry, and Jim Cramer and all the other people were there. We also had a brief chat with, now I think his name is Brett Eisner. And we had the opportunity to tell him his truck's still going in the farm. A Heartbeat is still going as Grizzly, and it's still out in England, giving people rides and entertaining people. It does the odd TV bit. So it was great to talk to all these people.
It was really there was a tinge of sadness though, because with all the trucks we've had over the years, and I've actually had a chance encounter with somebody else more recently that we bought a truck from. That's a whole other story. We can go into that if you want. That's actually here on British soil. But if we talk about the guy with the Heartbeat truck, and then we talk about Mark with Kodiak, and then the one that would have really been the cherry on the cake for me is if, he sadly lost to COVID, was Wayne Swazmiak, who I have spoke to him on the phone, and he was so nice and so friendly, and everybody says the same. I can't turn back time, but that really would have just been that would have been that every one of those trucks, in whatever guise they were in the States, we'd met the creators, if that makes sense. But the Wayne thing, I know one of our crew members is still in touch with his with his wife, and there is some talk that he wants to build a Tropical Thunder when he goes back to America. One of our guys is an American who's been driving for us, and he's going to go back to America, and he wants to build a copy of it, and she says she might, so on. But that's a whole other story as well. So yeah, mega. You're going to have to stop us, because what else do you want to know? The Hall of Fame surpassed all of our expectations, and everybody was super nice.
Well, we got Kevin Talbot up watching another countryman, and he's built his truck, Game Over, and it was a cool thing to watch him build that. And with the Hall of Fame, it's always been such a iconic thing. And what's if you could describe it in one word to get the people to go, what would you say?
Oh, I'm never any good at these one-word
One
describes.
word answer.
You
Go on,
know,
CJ. While I'm thinking, you fire
all I
in
can
there.
say is awesome.
Awesome.
If it was a one-word answer,
There is
but
one
you know,
word
if
answer.
anybody's listening to this and they're a fan of monster trucks, gotta get your tickets because you're gonna meet the forefathers of this industry, and they are all super nice, and they will all talk to you, and they'll all spend some time with you on a personal level. People that you will probably have only dreamt of meeting, people that you probably had the autographs and had the shortest periods of time because you've had to queue and wait for them. You know, this place you get to spend good quality time with legends.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome also hearing the side that you guys are taking care of some of the truck's history. You know, a lot of people would thought that, you know, the Kodiak truck would be dismantled or scrapped or gone, but no, it's running still. I think I think Big Pete is currently the oldest active monster truck doing shows, I think, right now.
Oh, we're gonna have to have that claim.
Yeah. And when you say it could or should maybe would have been scrapped, I define you to find the crusher that has the power to crush that truck. I define
Well, I
you
mean,
to
like
find
using
the
a torch or something
dismantler
like that.
that has the cutting gear that could cut that truck up. Because let me tell you, Mark Bendler built a good truck. He built a strong truck. And that's
me personally, I know where the truck was at, and it was in good hands. But there you got some people that are oblivious and that not think of, you know, do the research of knowing where the truck's at and stuff like that. But we got guys all over the world that can tell you the timeline of a chassis, and you thought the chassis was gone, but they know dang well where it's at, who owns it, what's going on. For the longest time, if you guys been following, a lot of people thought Bigfoot 6 was gone, but no, it's getting rebuilt right now in Egypt. Same thing with the Nightlife 3. It's like Tropical Thunder. It's named something else now, but he has both of those trucks right now, which is awesome. But still, it's cool to know about the history and how, you know, you guys and like others are still keeping it alive, you know, and that's so awesome.
I'm glad there is a resurgence, and I'm glad there are people that have kept hold of them. For us, you know, we were polar opposites to where Kev Talbot is at, and if you say he's watching, then he'll understand what I'm saying about this, because, you know, we do one event with him, and his truck is brand new. It's built out of brand new parts. It's Guy has done an amazing job, and he has deep pockets. You know, it's all the best of everything that money can buy. And one of the reasons why our old trucks are still going is because that's all that we could afford. That's all that the market was good for. The appearance fees weren't there. The work wasn't there. So old, retired, really torn up stuff. I mean, it's not fair to say that, Heartbeat was torn up, and Captain Insano, which weren't that, it was Dragon Slayer, that was torn up, but Heavy Metal wasn't. Heavy Metal wasn't torn up. It came to us called Heavy Metal. That was Kodiak. That weren't torn up, and it was pretty, and it did its job for 2 years with the Silverado body on, and then that's when we did the conversion to Big Pete. I don't know where we got the idea for that from. Do you have any idea?
We was 100% original on that.
We were the
definitely
first,
did not see any trucks anywhere else with a Peterbilt body, and we did not go, we like that, we're going to rip it.
No, genuinely, we were the first.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we did it first and best.
Hang on.
If Mike's listening, we love you, Mike.
Maybe you were the first overseas to do it.
See, a lot of people will are always on the defensive on Mike, and they're going, "Have you seen this truck? What do you feel about this truck?" And he's like, they're fine. They're great people. Leave them alone. He's not necessarily giving us his blessing, but he's happy that we're giving the respect back. And he, like I say, he spent some time with us at the Hall of Fame and came on the road with us, and he's now an extended part of our Monster Truck family now.
Somebody put a video on Monster Trucks Then and Now, and it was a thing that we shot a couple of years ago at the UK Monster Truck Nationals, where we race with Tony Dixon and Kev Talbot and all the UK Monster Trucks and a couple of European ones coming. And I did this piece for some TV program, and it was the launch of the trailer. Okay, so I don't know whether this saying translates into America, but over here in show business or in the showing industry or whatever, we say never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Okay, so the guy wants to shoot the first time we ever go over the cars with this trailer, and I tell him it's the first one ever made and the only one in the world. And they put it on Monster Trucks Then and Now, and a couple of guys jumped on it and went, Mike Welsh did it first. Mike Welsh. And I'm like, yes, I know. The thing is, I walk in the shadow of the guys that created the sport. We walk in your footsteps. We are humble, but we do have to just put on a bit of smoke and mirrors when we're over here, and that's all that is. We know Mike Welsh built the first Peterbilt truck. We know Mike Welsh did a trailer long before us and took it over the cars. But the British audience, they don't. And you've got to make a story, and that's what we do.
And they also think about it too. You got to deal with some of our fans. We love them to death, but sometimes they shoot first and ask questions later and not thinking what's going on.
That's cool. We need
I mean, that's the same thing. Monster Jam does the same thing. Obviously, they talked about some dump truck and not give another team credit for building a dump truck. It goes on. It's like you said, smoke and mirrors, and you're just trying to put on a mini show for your audience. And especially in the UK, you don't get that lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys get a lot of publicity outside of YouTube or stuff like that, but you try to take every grain of salt you can take, right?
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, but I think 90% of any exposure we get is down to Christopher, who handles everything to do with anything to do with all our social media. And so anybody that doesn't actually see us live boots on the ground sees us because of Christopher and his content, which we pale into insignificant in comparison to Kev and the storm that he managed to talk up, which was around the build of the truck. And I mean, hats off to the guy. He was famous before he even had a truck, which is, to me, is because he was. I do, and I don't find it hard to comprehend, because I grew up pre-social media and pre-YouTube, and in the days where if there was an event going on in town, there was a flyer on a poster on a fence post in town, and that's how you knew, and then someone else told you. So the whole thing that Kev did with the YouTube channel and building the truck and everything, I know that's the way of the world. It's just not the world that I grew up in, but that's okay, I think.
The one question that I have is, I know in Canada here in the US, monster trucks are popular. It's a huge phenomenon. How is it in the UK? Is it harder for you guys to book a lot of shows? I know you guys do a lot of shows at Santa Pod, which I'll be honest, that place is a bucket list place to go to for me, because I love drag racing, and that's such a historic track. That's where Daryl Gwynn's career ended and everything like that. But
What's the popularity like for you guys and doing shows in the UK?
I think it's going to be just as popular as it is in America and Canada, because you guys have created such a brand for the image that it transcends to a certain degree over here. And so when we are a hired act, we don't put on our own show, so we get people ask us to come to their event, because a Monster Truck is a brand that they can then sell tickets to their event, because there's a Monster Truck going to be there doing its thing. So it's great for us. And the market in the UK, I would just count before I start the video. There's 15 trucks, but there's only 3 that tour. So it's like a small market for us to all get our work. There's not the massive demand for if there was any more trucks, but wherever we do go, because Monster Trucks are a brand, like I say, they're always well supported. And then we've got the one show at Santa Pod, which we share with the others.
The one show.
Doing a race.
One day, one show, one event a year where we all come together, and out of those 15 trucks, the promoter can't get enough of them to agree to get them up, to get them running, to turn up. So he brings in a couple of Swedes to make up the numbers. Kev's a new addition with his truck. There's a guy called Ian Jones in Wales with a Dan Patrick built truck. I think that's probably only 4 or 5 years old now. Only appeared 4 or 5 times, once a year at that show. And then we go off in separate directions. I don't really think Kev does much at all with his, but he's busy running an empire. The guy from Wales, I know, does nothing. There's a circus guy that owns 2. They stay in the shed. There's a touring stunt guy called Scott May. He has 2. They stay in the building. Tony Dixon's
you guys
busy.
and Tony.
Tony's busy. Now there is another family. There's a lovely lady called Rosalind Swallow, and her brother Carl was one of the original Monster Truck guys, and he passed away. I'm going to go with maybe 10 years ago now. He had bad health, and he struggled on and he battled on. And they're now doing really well on the ride truck scene. They run 2 ride trucks and 1 jump truck called Slingshot, and they're a lovely family. 2 sons of hers, her and her husband, and I think grandma and grandpa come along and everything. But yeah, we're busy, like phenomenally busy. But Tony and Slingshot, they like to do the truck shows and a lot of what we call the stock car stadiums, so the tarmac oval stadiums, and they're tough crowds. And we tend to do more greenfield events, like agricultural shows, so big. I don't know what you would call them over there, but where
like carnivals and state fairs.
Yeah, state fairs where the farming communities get together and things like that. That's our area of expertise. And we've kind of carved out an industry of doing that and doing it in a way that we take great care over the environment from the perspective of the showground. So we don't just go in and tear stuff up and then leave and go, that's your problem. The whole package is what we supply for them, and that's what's made us a bit.
Yeah, I just want to expand on that. I just saw Richie Kaiser put a post up. Yeah, if you want to send Carlton over, no problem. We'll stick him in the truck. We'll look after him, and he'll certainly drive the truck well. That's no problem. But what we do is we're completely unique, and probably for what you do in America is when we hit the road, I say when Michael hits the road, he drives to the next show, and then he prepares the cars himself, and then we are given a half an hour slot. So in that half an hour, we go into an open green field with nothing in, and we build up our arena, we build up our cars, we put down ground sheets, we then do the performance, We destroy the cars. We rip a car in half. So there's 5 cars per performance. We crush them. And then we completely strip down and hand it back over to the next thing.
You know, and people may not know also that you guys also have a pretty awesome tank with the Full Metal Jacket, which that was made by Don Maples and then bought by Jack Willman, and then you guys had your hands on it. But man, about 2 years ago, Mark Hall let us drive his heavy metal tank, which you saw at the Hall of Fame, and we were just driving around the parking lot, and that thing had some getting used to. And I mean, tell us about the experience of you guys going behind the wheel of the tank.
Behind the
just says
levers.
it all.
So,
oh my God!
Somebody had said one of the guys at the Hall of Fame. He did the look. Raise your hand if you've driven a Leafer, you've driven a Shark truck, and if you've driven a tank. And it was like, yeah, we did that, and all of a sudden we sort of felt, before then we were just. We felt like we should stay in the background. We didn't really deserve to be there, but we've done these things. So yeah, we drove the tank. I've drove the tank. Michael's drove the tank. My dad drove the tank, and I don't know how else to explain it because it's just so completely weird and scary at the same time.
I don't like the tank. I don't like the tank at all. I'm the one who's had the least trouble with the tank. And we haven't really done a massive amount of work with it, but just to put that into context, when I say I'm the one who's had the least trouble, he's tried to kill me the least. He tried to kill Dad very well because it had a methanol fire in the engine bay, which burnt through the hydraulic pipe. So just as he was lifting the cab up to get out, it went back down with him in, and it was on fire. And then, he really tried to kill CJ because he tried chopping his head off in there. That's a whole nother story.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tell them about the caravan and the tank, CJ.
You've got 2 blown engines like you would run in the Monsters, but you're only protected by 1 layer of Lexan Perspex. It's and you're enclosed with them. There's no escape. But yeah, the caravan wasn't my greatest moment, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
And if our listeners don't know what they're talking about, caravan, an RV.
An RV,
yeah. We call them caravans over here, mobile homes. We like to smash them up, and I'll tell the story because I know you don't want to tell it. So there was the tank never really ever played ball for us. It was probably only ever on song for about 10% of the time. And our father has an innate ability to fiddle with things and not quite. On that particular day, he hadn't got it quite right. So every time you launched it, it would stall. And Christopher launched it and it stalled, and he was just kind of buried into the RV a little bit. And then he was pretty angry about the whole situation, and I was comparing, so I'm trying to whip the crowd into a frenzy, and this damn tank's made me look stupid, and it's made Christopher look stupid, and he fired it up, the cab open, and it went forward, and as he went forward, it folded the roof and the wall of the RV down like that. And then it came in through the cab and it went clean up against his neck. But as it did that, it trapped his hands on the slew levers, which pulled the brakes on. So in doing so, it put the brakes on, but he couldn't let go of the slew levers to hit the kill switch because they were pinned and he was pinned. That was one of those.
It was a cacophony. It was a cacophony of errors. Yeah.
But you're still here.
Yeah, unfortunately for you.
Yeah. No, it would have been a bad day in the bad
Well,
day
it
in the
would have.
office.
It would have been very inconvenient to have started
Yes.
a coffin for me while she's still got 5 more shows to do.
Yeah. But
Now, what?
do you like the tanks, Dan? Do you like the tanks? Do you want it back?
for
We'll send
sale.
it back to America if you want.
Well, I love the history of them, but I don't know if we'll be able to use them anytime soon. They'll probably just be a nice little Hall of Fame piece, museum piece. But I mean, that's where we put our truck at.
We've had our fun with that. Ask Christopher a question. I'll be back in a minute. Need to nip to the John.
So one question I have is, there's a lot of families in monster trucks. What's it like working with your family? Because I work with my dad on a daily basis, and I know it can get tense sometimes. There's times where, we might say some stupid things to each other, but at the end of the day, we're family. We can forgive each other. What's it like working with your family, man?
Dad's a different animal. He's very much as most dads are. It's my way or it's the highway. So it's a bit of a struggle. Michael's a lot more. Do not offer the tank to Colton.
Richie would kill you.
It's for sale. Yes, come and get
Richie
it.
would bust out the hammer and chase you.
Michael's very good in he has this wonderful ability to get anybody to work for him for free. So he just unlike Dad, who will be like, give it here, I will do it. Michael's very much of, you go and do it and I'll leave you to it, mainly because he doesn't want to do it. So even if you do it wrong, he's not bothered because he don't want to do it. But yeah, we rib on each other on a regular basis, but it's good. We're in a good place. I gotta always remember, as much as I want to do certain things with the trucks, they're not my trucks, so I've got to drive how he wants. So I could always want to go harder and bigger and get some serious air and push it as much as I can, but I gotta rein it in. Like I said, there is trucks, and most of the time he doesn't do anything. He just gives this face rub, which lets me know I've done wrong. He's like, ah. What's it like working with your little brother?
We used to, in the early days, we had our we are like a formidable team now. We can communicate without talking. It just takes a look. Constantly had to try and rein him in a little bit in the early days because he just loved driving the truck, and he loved the crowd, and he loved working them. He still does, don't get me wrong. But we have what we call a Saturday jump and a Sunday jump, and we have an afternoon jump and a morning jump. And he would go out and he would do a Sunday afternoon jump on a Saturday morning, and I go, dude, you needed to save that till tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, I know, but I was having fun. And you go, okay, yeah. The reason we build it up is because we don't want to break anything on day one. Yeah, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. Yeah. And then he go out a week later and do it again. But we kind of got that ironed out pretty quick. Not because I kept telling him, just because he worked it out for himself, because he matured. And he's my brother, and I love him, and I'd be screwed without him. So
yes, you
I'd
would.
certainly definitely want to be doing it with him rather than our father, who has a totally different way of doing things than me and Christopher. Definitely. Don't get me wrong, he's why we are here. He is an unbelievable man who's created some fantastic equipment over the years with his own hands, and pulled off some major sponsorship deals that we've never achieved. Huge companies like Ford, Pirelli, ferry companies, tire manufacturers, you name it. He's done some amazing things, and I'm not doing him down. He's our father. But man, he can be awkward. Yeah. But it's funny.
So not my last question, but my last question about the visit overseas was to America. how was it to meet Dan Patrick, Dennis Anderson, and Tom Mentz?
Uh,
Go with
For-
either
for
or. Maybe
me-
Mike. Let's go with you. Or goes Chris, then Mike.
Okay.
Let's go with you,
Um,
Chris.
Oh, right. So, okay. So for me, I've got, like probably a lot of people listening, I've grown up with Monster Jam and the heavy hitters, which were, of course, Dennis and Mentz, and the rivalry that they had and how that spilled out, and the legendary, and same with Dan. And every time we went to these places, we started off with Dan's, and I'm just like, play it cool, just yes, just. But inside, I'm like going, oh my god, I'm in Dan Patrick's shop. I'm talking to Dan Patrick. Ah!
Okay, hold
And
on.
I'm looking.
Something just came to mind. Have you guys ever watched the movie Wayne's World? Please tell me you've
Yes.
watched that movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's the scene where they meet Alice Cooper. That's what goes.
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
just went through my head at that moment. We're not worthy.
It was, and then again we go and meet Dennis, and he comes out of. It's almost like he comes out of this mysterious fog with this big smile, and his handlebar mustache, and
Yeah.
he gave us a full personal tour of the Diggers Dungeon. He pointed out things that most people would go into the dungeon and would just go, oh, that's interesting, or whatever. And it's like, no, this is the petrol pump that I was filling up my truck. And the guy said, that's a piece of crap. And he said, I'm going to dig a grave with this truck. And then he moved on to the silo, which had another star. And then he moved on to all the different trucks. And then he took us around the back, and we saw his Impala drag car. We come from a drag racing family, so it's like, cool. And then he kindly asked Midget to put on an engine on the dyno for us, so we got to watch a dyno pull on one of the development engines. Just like, it's pinch me. And then we went all the way back and met Tom. I mean, Tom's my number one, so I was really like, just completely shell-shocked with him, and all of them just gave us time, which we were so grateful for, and they were all amazing, and we had such a wonderful insight into the sport that we're involved with, albeit in a slightly different, how's your father, Jim Chimney way over in England,
Time I don't think we would have got if it wasn't for Mike Welsh. I know we wouldn't got if it weren't for Mike Welsh. He just made phone calls and he made it happen. And the guys were waiting for us when we got there, and they gave everything that Christopher tells you and more. And that was all because of Mike Welsh. When we got to Dan Patrick's, there was he's got like an amazing office and quite a lot of memorabilia, and in one of his cabinets in the memorabilia, he'd saved some posters that I'd given him on the day we raced against him at the Monster Truck Nationals. So I'd seen my picture on the wall at the Hall of Fame with Big Pete, and then there was Big Pete and Grim Reaper in his cabinet, and that made me sort of wet myself a bit. That was amazing. And then, like Christopher says, the way Dennis was with us was amazing. All day. We stayed in town until the next day, and then bumped into him at breakfast. And Ryan, was it Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, and his grandson, and then Tom Mentz just said, get out the driving seat, and got in the hire car and took us around and showed us his house that he's building and spent all day with us. And I mean, if you said to me, wish list, who would you want to build you a truck? Dan Patrick. What would you want it to look like? Gravedigger. Who would you want to drive it? Tom Mentz. And we did all three in a week. It didn't really get any better than that, really. But, the whole trip whole trip was mega, and I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Cheech, for being nice to us at the Hall of Fame, and for everybody to being nice to us at the Hall of Fame. Mike Welsh, I can't say enough good things about him. He was really good to hang out with, and the banter was good. And I'm really, really, really glad that I got to meet Mark Bendler. That was
You know,
big for me.
another cool thing is Colton, Richie Kaiser. You know,
We spent the day with them.
they're kind of compared to Tom and Dennis and Dan. They're new, but you know with them being up and coming, with what they have. I mean, how cool is that, hanging out with them and getting parts and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We went round the shop. We spent a day with them. I spent half an hour talking to their lovely mum about the merch and how it was interesting to learn how the merch works over there and compared to over here. And then we went for a day out. We went to Indianapolis to the Speedway, and we took Colton with us. And Colton had already done me a massive favor because he'd found me a pair of Pettibone axles and shipped them over, and that was a long time coming for me to have some spares. So again, yeah, that was that was also a really, really good day out as well. Nice kid. I mean,
How'd you guys like Indianapolis, the Motor
Sorry?
Speedway?
Yeah,
How'd
we
you
went to
guys
the
like the racetrack?
Yeah.
Okay,
we
so
went to go and have a tour of the track, but the track was closed.
The track was closed because they were test driving electric Humvees.
Hummers, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. But we
Those are
got the
two words you
VIP
never want to
suites.
hear in one sentence. An electric Humvee. No, is that just me, or I don't know?
GMC's coming out with the Hummer, and it's all electric. So
Yeah,
around
that
here in
was
the
that was
States.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
impressed with how fast it went and how fast it stopped, but that was it. Yeah.
But yeah, what a cathedral of motorsports that place was. And
Oh,
the tour guide gave us some interesting little bits of information, like how it was all laid in bricks in 90 days. That the flag tower, you know, where they start and finish them, and they wave the checkered flags, that was based on a sail ship. Yeah,
Crow's Nest of the USS
Crow's Nest, that's it, yeah.
Indianapolis.
That's it. Yeah.
From World War II. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I've forgotten some of the things we did already, but yeah, everybody was super nice, and I don't know what we're going to do to top that now, other than we're going to have to come back. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, hopefully you guys can come back next year or the year after that and hit up the Hall Brothers shop. We're about 20 minutes outside of Tom's place.
Yeah.
And you guys need to go see Bigfoot. Their doors are open too.
No,
that was on the cards, but they a lot of the trucks were out on display elsewhere. The Hall Brothers, if we'd have known how close we were, we would have definitely called in, but we just didn't know.
Yeah, it's all right.
But so it's a shame
Yeah.
that we didn't manage to cover that, because it would have been awesome to have spent time with the Halls and yourself and the Raminators Empire.
I had a list of things that I wanted to do when we ran out of time. There was a good few people in and around where Colton was, like Randy Barton with Bugzilla. I think they were the Beetle Bug truck.
Jamie Gardner and his team's like 10 minutes away from Colton.
Yeah, there was Independence is the people we would have, should have gone and seen, but it was like, got to go here, got to go there, and we only had a finite amount of time, and we had to get back. But yeah, I've got to come. I'm going to come again. No,
that'd be sweet.
I did also come with an ulterior motive as well. I kind of wanted to see if I could find a ride truck as well, but that didn't pan out. But that's okay.
Go on racingjunk.com. You'll find plenty of those.
yeah, they're all pretty junk though. So
yeah.
I think we pretty much know what we're going to do with that project. I think we're going to go down the build one route, and then you get your own. You get it the way you want it to be. So yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. And then so you're let's go back and talk about how your dad got your hands on Big Pete and Grim Reaper, and how this all came about. Was it a discussion that your dad was talking to you guys, or was he also interested in monster trucks? How did it all come about to have you guys had your hands on
No, it
these
was
two nice
completely
beasts?
different.
Hated them.
Yeah.
We didn't like them. You're not going to
So
believe it.
basically, my dad had created an empire with a wheel-standing truck and a jet-powered truck, a bit like the Shockleys. So,
Shockwave,
but
yeah.
his was a cab over, so it couldn't ever go as fast because it was a cab over. There was nowhere for the wind to go. So he would always go to truck shows with these two trucks, and we would always turn up on time, do our allotted performance, park up, be clean, and then we'd go back out and do the second performance or even a third, whatever the promoters wanted, we'd go out and do. And one of the main promoters at the time that used us at the most was a promotion called Live Promotions, which had a show called Truck Fest. They had about 4 or 5 shows. And at that point, they were going to the UK market for monster trucks, and their trucks were available, without being too unkind, were overdriven, shall we say, and not well maintained. So they would turn up, and often they wouldn't make it into the shows and whatever. And monster trucks have become such a big part of the truck show. They just turned around to my dad and said, "We're gonna buy a monster truck. We want you to drive it." And that's basically how it happened. We got the heavy metal, the Kodiak. We got it in there, and we fulfilled our obligations with the truck. You know, we took it out every performance. It was clean. It was polished. It drove, and it drove in, and it drove out. It did its job. And then they went and got us another truck, which was Grizzly, which was Heartbeat. And then they let that go, and then they moved on to Captain Insano / Dragon Slayer, which we then rebranded as, well, I say we. The truck show rebranded as Jurassica. That did a year, and then Tony's already covered this. He then picked it up because he wanted to be a part of the scene. And then at that point, they'd started to, there was new trucks coming along, and they didn't need to have the cost of their own anymore. So they could lean back on the operators. And so Big Pete came up for sale, and Michael jumped in and bought it. And I guess the rest is history.
So how did Green Reaper get it in your guys' hands?
Grim Reaper was Wayne built the truck, Tropical Thunder, as you well know. And then it came to the UK with a guy called Trevor Stimson, and he subsequently went on to do some tour management for the European leg of the Monster Jam tours. Trevor had a background in doing tractor pulling and also building stock cars for Oval Racing. So a very good engineer and very well respected guy. And he kind of got involved a little bit in the stunt shows, and it was from Trevor that we also picked up the tank Full Metal Jacket. So Trevor had it, Tropical Thunder became Blown Thunder, and then we bought the chassis and cab, rolling chassis, no engine, no gearbox, which was fine for me because he didn't want to sell the engine and gearbox, and I never have wanted a blown engine because that's not what we need for the shows that we do. We run naturally aspirated standard big block Chevy. So bought that off him and took it back and did a complete rebrand, respray, repaint, naming of that truck, and that was Grim Reaper Born, and we've just stuck with those two since then. Two well-built trucks. Good truck, bloody good truck. It's got some battle scars, and it's having a new front axle made as we speak, which will go in this coming weekend. And Trevor's a good guy. He's still safety tech. He oversees the Monster Truck Nationals. He's currently working, the guy who brought in Tropical Thunder, Trevor Stimson, is currently working on the European leg of the Hot Wheels tour. So he's down in, he's just come up from, they've been abroad in France, and they've been in London, and now they are doing their last night in Manchester, I think this coming weekend, with the Hot Wheels tour, which is featuring 2 of Dan Patrick's trucks, 2 of the Bigfoot trucks, and 3 trucks from
Craig
Christensen. Yeah.
Have you guys ever talked about expanding the team or giving maybe Big Pete a tube chassis truck, and maybe make the chassis a Big Pete ride truck, or doing the Big Pete ride truck or something like that? Have you guys ever talked about any ideas on that? Expanding the team, the future of it?
Kind of, I've done designs over
we're bad businessmen, isn't it?
We're bad businessmen. I've done designs over the years, and I've got some concept drawings. When they brought out the Streamline Peterbilt, the new shape Peterbilt, now I look back and think, ugh, I was excited about it at the time, but it don't look as good as the Peterbilt Classic. We did some designs based on a tube chassis, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the thing is, we're very, very busy, and we're just keeping our head above water with the stuff that we've got. So nothing would make me happier to have a third truck, and I could get it work. We could put it out to work. We could have a 4th truck and put it out to work. We are so busy with what we've got. But it's the manpower isn't there, and I'm in my twilight years now of doing this, because I've foolishly spent most of my time behind the wheel of Big Pete, which is a Leafer, which has beaten the crap out of me, and now stick Christopher in it a lot more. There's been talks and there's been plans, and I think if we had a lotto win, or some rich relative that we don't know about dies and left us a load of money. What did you say the other day, CJ? If I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody.
But there'd be signs.
There'd be signs. Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool you mentioned. I was going to say, it's cool that you mentioned Trevor Stimson. I actually know his son Scott kind of well. Did some of that virtual monster truck stuff with him. So that's kind of neat that
Yeah, Scott's a good kid. I made his day once a few years ago. He turned up with his dad. We were in their hometown, and he turned up, and we put the trucks right out on the edge of the showground next to the main freeway that was the cars were driving past. And I said, go get your dad's old truck and fetch it back, Scott. Can I? I said, yeah, go on, you drive it back. So he got to drive the monster truck, and he still talks about that. Made him quite happy. So
highlight of the career.
Yeah, well, we're there to make.
So let's talk about. I saw your guys' YouTube video of what you guys do during Christmas, and you guys do like a little light parade and stuff like that. So, it was kind of cool seeing a classic American Pete in England. But I think you guys talked about how it does not like the common roads of the English common road, but it does love the highway. So how did you guys get your hands on I think it was a 387 or 389 Pete.
Go on,
It's
you
the
can
sort of,
pick up
it's
that
the,
one.
it's the sort of usual story where we're in the right place at the right time. Somebody had come into the industry and they had great ambitions, and then as quick and as bright as their flame glowed, it soon went out and everything was suddenly for sale. So we'd always coveted a Peterbilt, and we heard it was for sale, and we rang him up and we said, "What do you want for this Peterbilt?" And he said, 35 grand. And we went, no, we're not that interested in it, that. And then he rang up later and said, "Well, what will you give for it?" We went, 30. He went, "Just come and take it." So we went and we swapped it. We got it for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, the guy had a monster truck. He had a Harley. He had a hauler. He had a smart trailer. He had a race car, all in the same color of yellow. I made his money out of haulage in the UK. Monster truck was called Crusher. I think it was a chassis built by would that have been a
Was it not a Nigel chassis?
yeah, I think it was a Nigel chassis, and it went straight abroad. It went into Europe. Like Christopher says, he was only about for maybe a year or two, and he just blew his brains out. But people come into this thinking it's all champagne and caviar, and Daniel, it's some late ass nights and some. If you got $1 for every hour you worked on monster trucking. I'm sat here talking. I mean, look, I'm the world's worst businessman. I'm sat here talking to you now. My existence for the last 20 years has been living in a trailer. This is a caravan that I'm in. We call them caravans here in the UK. This is a trailer. This is in the yard where the 2 monster trucks live. This is my residence through the winter, and through the summer I am permanently on tour. I don't do that by choice. That's all the business can afford. Every single penny goes back into those trucks, and the way the economy is at the moment with what we're earning, it ain't even scratching the surface. I could spend our turnover 10 times over without even dreaming about new trucks and new haulers and new this and new that. It's not easy, but I don't regret a thing, and I love my life, and I spend quality time with my brother and my dad. And you know what? We got into this by chance because the performing vehicles came about because of drag racing. And this very airfield that I'm on now talking to you from was an old Second World War airfield, and this was where we had a drag strip. And I've got to tell you, monster trucking people are a damn sight nicer than drag racers. Because that was our bread and butter, and we were drag racing promoters. And that's one of the reasons why when we are doing events, we can wear both hats. We can be the entertainer, but we also empathize with the promoter because we were drag racing promoters. But one of the things that struck me in the very early days when we went off and did monster truck shows and the drag racing alongside the monster truck shows, and I know Christopher can relate to this. One weekend you would be signing autographs for little kids saying, "You're cool, man. You're my hero. That was amazing." And then the next weekend you'd be putting on a drag race event and someone would go, "Your toilets are blocked again. If you don't fix it, I'm going to peel your head and smash your face in." And you'd be like, I think I'd rather be monster trucking.
I tell you what, guys, I know you guys are right now. It's early in the morning for you guys, and for me, I gotta keep on trucking. We gotta have you guys back on.
Anytime.
The hour went fast, And
Yeah.
man, Brad, we got to get these cats back on later on and tell more stories, because we just turned page 1 and we have a bunch more information and stuff like that to let them know and stories to tell. Maybe we could do a roundtable and get Tony on and
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
have all
good. Yeah,
three.
we work with Tony a lot.
Yeah, love it. Love
Maybe shoot the breeze about some drag racing too, because I'm a huge drag racing nerd. So
it.
Yeah,
You
we
like
could
drag
do that.
racing? Yeah.
oh dude, I
We're
got
cured.
huh?
We're cured. We love the sport. Don't get me wrong, we love the sport. And when we go to Santa Pod, we go and stand on the banking and we watch a few cars go past, and we're like, "Oh, we miss this, we miss it." I don't miss it as much as Christopher. Christopher really misses it because he was really invested in the venue that we ran. And that's what gets the petrol and the rubber and everything in your DNA. You got to get it from somewhere, and for us, it was drag racing. For Colton, it was the little half-size trucks. For everybody's got to start somewhere, and it was drag racing for us. I remember I rode around on a little Honda 90cc motorbike, fell off it and broke bones, and Christopher did the same. We've learned to drive, ride, break stuff here on this very airfield that turned us into the monster truck monkeys that we are today. But thanks for having us on.
I love it. Well, Brad, go ahead and close us up. I got to head over. Thank you guys for being on. We're going to have you guys back on, and I'll see you guys down the road, and also fans see you guys down the road also. So,
love you, America.
All right, Brad.
All right. Well, we'll close this
I
one
don't know
out.
how to get out. How do I get out?
I think you just exit out of the. Yeah, there you go. So again, thank you guys for coming on. It was awesome having you guys on, and getting to know more about the UK monster truck scene. Man, that is so cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, if people want to hear more of our dulcet tones, then yeah, we'll do another one.
We'll do another one. Or follow us, like, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes. And do you guys have any social media that people can follow you guys on and updates with the team?
Yeah, Big Pete on Facebook, and on Instagram and YouTube. If you just type in Big Pete Monster Trucks, we'll turn up. If we could grow the YouTube channel up so it doesn't feel like I'm just talking to myself, that'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah. Guys, go like and subscribe.
Stories on the maintenance, and stories on the tour, and stories on the stuff that we do, and all the rest of it. And
what we try and do with the YouTube, I try and give every sort of platform something different, so you're not getting the same stuff repeated. And certainly when it comes to the YouTube, it's all behind the scenes. Virtually the boring stuff, I call it. I'm not really selling it now, but it's the stuff you need to do to be able to run a monster truck. It's not all glitz and glamour like those that are in the industry know. So we just share our tales and our stories. So it's all about the background of that. So if people are interested in what it's really like in the UK, especially to run a truck, then yeah, please
we
do.
often worry that it might not translate because we're quite a dry sense of humor over here, and we often worry maybe the Americans don't get us because we're so sarcastic and dry. But we try to keep it lighthearted. I don't know. Maybe we overthink things.
Don't worry. I grew up watching Top Gear, Monty Python, and so much other British stuff. Like, I can understand that humor to a T. So like, I love what you guys do. If people want to follow Dan on Instagram, I believe it's Dan Agosh 10, or I forget what his Instagram handle is. You can follow me at the only monster truck Canucker. Go check that out. I post stuff about my daily job, what I do, and everything like that. But again, guys, we're gonna have you on again, and BS some more, because an hour went by way too fast.
Okay, no problem. Thank you,
guys. Check up on your friends and family. Mental health is very important.
Absolutely.
Quickly, Dan just texted me. Check out our YouTube channel. We have vlogs that we're doing now. Dan has been doing some. The last one, he did just some maintenance on the trucks, changing tires. Go check out what he's doing. I'll eventually post some stuff with my job when I can.
with my job, it varies from day to day, but go check out the vlogs on our YouTube channel. It's something cool that we're doing now. But like I was saying, guys, check out your friends and family. Mental health is very important. We want you on this earth. We don't want to lose you. We have lost so many people in this earth. Even in the monster truck industry, Mike Thompson, he will forever be missed. We need you on this earth. And next week, it's Brad Shippert. It's a pre-recorded episode with Dan. And guys, until next time, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Oh, and it's for Dan's Instagram. It is MT_Dan Agosh 28. So go check out what he does. So thank you, Dan, for sending those texts. All right, guys, take care.
Thank you.